Well, hello, everybody. This is Timothy Green with Rattle Magazine. Welcome to the Rattlecast. We're the biggest freewheeling live stream poetry podcast on the planet in your ears, not your laptops. Our guest for episode number 353 is a familiar face. Hemat Malak is here. She'll be with us in a few minutes, but before we begin, I should say that Rattle is a publication of the Rattle Foundation, a 501c3 nonprofit working to promote the practice of poetry. We've been in continuous publication since 1995 and are unaffiliated with any other organization. We do all this. We love poetry. I know you do too, so please do click on the like button and share. Make sure you're subscribed. Ring the bell for notifications. Whatever you can do to help poetry spread around the internet would be much appreciated. We're going to start out like we always do with our poet respond poet, and we have a really wonderful Ghazal from Lisa Powell, and Lisa is here. Hey, Lisa, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm great, and thanks for joining us all the way. In Portugal, it's like 1 a.m., and so I'm so glad you could stay up with us. That's always really a pleasure for folks in Europe. It's a difficult time over there, but we're glad to see you.
Thank you so much for having me. And yeah, my head may be a little fuzzy, and I'll try to do my best to talk at 1 a.m, but I'm on. So
well, great. Well, we appreciate you having you here. So tell us about this poem, how it came. I know there are a whole bunch of stories swirled in together to make this poem happen. Where did you know that you were going to write a poem about these news stories?
I think honestly it was because I got so upset about what I saw was going on, and I was also confused as to what was going on with what was happening in Ceuta and in Ceuta, Spain. And because I was confused as to what was going on, and I contacted my daughter's friend who is from Morocco, the Morocco area, and asked what's going on. And we talked a good bit about it. And I just remember watching so many reels and videos of young men who were literally in tears or crying or confused as to what was happening. I still think there's some confusion as to what's going on. I think there's larger forces at work that we all don't really know about what's going on. I do know that it was the conditions that a lot of it had to do with economic conditions that are going on in Morocco, but then also on top of it, problems with you have new immigration policies that are coming in with Spain, opening up to some immigrants. And so I think there's a whole lot of dynamics there's a lot of things at play. And it really struck me, particularly because I just myself immigrated from the States and came over here to Porto, Portugal, with my own economic issues, having been a community college teacher. And everything was just everything kind of swirled and wrapped up. And I'm like, I've got to write about it because I couldn't stop thinking about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, it's a great form, the Ghazal, for any topic that's like swirling and has a lot of access points. So it was a great choice. Why don't you read it, and then we'll talk a little bit more about it, too.
Okay. This is called Ghazal Behind the Lion. Someone who knows says when people are running, look for the lion behind them. 60,000 Moroccans swim the sea to be free in Spain. Look for the lion behind them. On social media reels, a young Moroccan man can't grasp. There's no remedy, only return. After swimming all that way, the Spanish guards' batons whip them back, as before, the lion behind them. Over tea and hot embers, my American daughter opened the Jar of Love with a visiting Sahrawi scholar. More than a desert, more than oceans between them, they try to ignore the lion behind them. In the Sahrawi tea ceremony, its ritual says, you share 3 cups, the first as bitter as life, the second as sweet as love, the third soft as death. This final pour, the lion behind them. The Sahrawi poets used to sing poems only of beautiful women and the sweetness of life. But now the poet of the gun, a woman, calls on tanks to outroar the lion behind them. Soldiers still occupy DC, patrol my daughter's work, doubling down for a summer surge. Before this, she sunned at the beach, laughed. Now her generation talks about war, the lion behind them. America's rituals aren't tea ceremonies. We share shootings. 3 dead and in and out, shootout in the drive-thru, shooter suicide. There'll be too many more. The lion behind them. No one but a poet asked the question, like Blake asked the tiger, who framed your fearful symmetry? Where's the poet to track the beast through velds of past and ask, what bore the lion behind them? Old gold lions chase my daughter and her lover into sharing tea, polity, connecting countries. I dream all countries come together, the people remembering you're the lion behind them. Lisa, tell them, you saw the lion rise on the horizon. You ran across the ocean seeking Sal di Sagarenza. You know all who run must write it, yell it, tell it again until the story's old folklore, the lion behind them.
Yeah, so that was Ghazal Behind the Lion by Lisa Powell. That was Sunday's poem on Poet Respond. And I just wanted to ask, because you mentioned on at the beginning, before we were on air, that this is the first time you'd ever written a Ghazal. And I was really shocked by that. We had a lot of comments. So, I love it because when we send poems out as a daily poem, a lot of people reply to me every day. And I had a lot of responses about like sort of arguing with the politics of things and that kind of angle of it, which is always fun. But universally, everybody like praised how brilliant the form was done in this Ghazal. So I was really shocked.
Really?
It was the first time.
Wow.
Yeah. And so how did you approach the form? Was it the phrase? Did that feel like a refrain? The lion behind them. I love that internal rhyme with that. But
yes.
How did you go about writing the Ghazal so well on your first go?
That was very kind of you to say that I wrote it well. Honestly, I've been lately just trying to try different forms ever since I've been able to come over here and start writing again. And I just wanted to attempt this form. And I read through a lot of Ghazals first. Shahid Ali's In Real Time has very long lines because I was very worried about the long lines that I had because I couldn't figure out how to articulate these ideas in very short kind of phrases. And I liked the Ghazal because I like how each individual stanza can be a different idea throughout and that you can therefore kind of weave all of these ideas together. All I can say is I just know I studied the form and I literally stayed up an entire night, one night, just writing it, and to my partner's distress because he didn't get to sleep. But that's all I really know. I also thought I wanted it to look like it was running. That's why I was running down the page a little bit. So I wanted it to have that look.
Yeah. Well, great poem. So glad that you wrote it and got to share it with us, Lisa. Thanks for being here and staying up late too.
I really appreciate it.
Yeah. Take care.
Thank you.
Yeah, so it was Lisa Powell. That was Sunday's poet on Poet Respond. If you have any poems about the news, anything happening right now, just share them. Go to Rattle.com. Up under content, you'll see Poet Respond. Submit your poems by midnight Friday night. I pick one every Saturday morning, and then we publish it Sunday. So it's a way to keep poetry relevant and part of the international dialogue. And also, if you want to get those poems by email in the morning, go to the bottom of any page at Rattle.com, sign up, put your email in, make sure you click the confirmation link, and you'll get a poem every morning. All right, we're going to take a quick break and go to our main guest, Hemat Malak. So sit tight, and we'll be right back with a whole lot more poetry. And we're back. Thanks so much for your patience. Like I said, tonight's guest is a familiar face. Hemat Malak is here. You recognize her from the chat window, from the prompt lines frequently. An Australian poet based in Picton, New South Wales, Hemat returned to poetry after more than 4 decades away and won the 2025 Bruce Dawe National Poetry Prize for I Don't Say My Name Right. A longtime Rattle listener and member of the community, she's published several poems with Rattle, including the title poem of her debut collection, Shelf Life, which is a beautiful book. We nominated that poem for a Pushcart Prize, and the book just came to me in time. And it's a beautifully put together collection, and we're really proud and excited to have Hemat here. Hey, Hemat, how you doing?
Hey, Tim, how are you? I'm fantastic. Very, very happy to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, well, it's so cool to have you here. I love, we talk about this all the time about how, regular viewers and listeners and participants just get better and better as poets. And you're one of those poets that we just watch you keep getting better and better and better, and then publishing poems more and more places. And then you have this beautiful book, which I accidentally put right here because we're doing the PDF, but I'll hold it up like this. But it's a beautiful book, Shelf Life. And we mentioned that you won this 2025 Bruce Dawe National Poetry Prize for I Don't Say My Name Right. And we thought we'd start out with that poem. And there's stories behind it. It's a good introductory poem too. So do you want to explain this and then read it?
Yeah. Yeah, thank you. I'll say first that Australia is a beautiful place, and I love being Australian. But like everywhere, there are some issues, and the poem came after a racial attack on a community Facebook page. I don't normally post on the community page, but I had made a post about the flight noise I was noticing on a quiet night, and I was just surprised at the reaction of people. I, there were just some, funny little comments, but it started moving in a direction where comments were coming out like, go back where you came from. And if you were, maybe you'd prefer it back in Pakistan. My heritage is Egyptian, but obviously my name sounded Pakistani. And I just came to realize that the reaction was to my name. Mm-hmm. And it really changed how I walk around my town because it's my home. I've been here since 1969. It was a really sad experience. So this poem came from that. Mm-hmm. Shall I read it now?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. I don't say my name right. Yes, I know it's correctly. But hey, if I can't say my name, right? An immigrant kid grows up funny. Her tongue reaches for receding words. Her eyes lower, too low. The edges of her smile twitch. She gets real good at miming. The walk, the hair flick, the laugh. Which buttons to leave unbuttoned. How to do underdressed while filling her eyes with every detail, painting her face with nonchalant. She hides her falafel roll in her pocket, scoffs it round a corner, kicking stones like there's nothing in her mouth, sucking in her body to fit the air. Most days, the name thing doesn't matter. It's only when she meets someone from the homeland and stutters when telling who she is, or bumping into one who's travelled to or learnt the language of the place her feet emerged. Sometimes it's just a person who sees through her redesigned ethnicity, but too polite to say. Some don't mind saying, though, or shading their eyes with their knowing, or saving up the tidbit to share with their too loud friend. The colour wheel's a scoundrel, fixed to stop where you don't live, tricks you as it's spinning, that it's all one tone.
Yeah, such a beautiful poem, powerful poem, and a powerful story too. How much? It just remind me of a similar experience happened to me, but not directed at me. So it's a totally different feeling. But I remember, maybe around the same time, like maybe 10 years ago, our town like community message board had a similar kind of incident where people were really like suddenly racist, like all over the place. And I like couldn't believe I lived near these people that how much did that experience, like did you see any like signs of that beforehand, or was it like a veil being unlifted?
I have seen,
yeah.
I have seen, different communities in Australia, different communities have different makeups. And it just depends how much. There aren't a lot of people from different cultures in the area that I live. And so sometimes there is that element where people feel threatened or feel that their piece is being taken or their patch of earth is being invaded, or, there'd be lots of different reasons why someone would feel that way. There's ignorance, but it's really hurtful because if I deal with people one on one down at the shops, everybody's lovely. I've got a local writing group. Everybody's wonderful. One on one, I don't think I'd experience that.
Mm-hmm.
I think also that, that anonymity, even though it was an anonymous person, but the anonymity of a screen, and that safety of being able to attack from behind a phone, from behind a screen. It's sad, but it exists.
Mm-hmm.
It's a shame. You don't know who you're walking past. Do you hate me? I don't hate you. It's
It's so strange. It's like there's a separate world almost online, and it's like the real world too. Like it's like this duality that's so strange to encounter, and so starkly encountered there. Let's talk about your background into poetry, because one of the things that I saw looking up more about you is that there was this gap where you hadn't written poems for a long time. So tell us, when poetry has meant what to you over the years. Like when did you find it at first, and then why that long gap without writing it, and how did you find your way back to it? I guess that whole journey I'm always curious about.
Yeah. I first wrote poetry in year 6 in Mrs. Olivero's class at St. Jerome's Punch Bowl, and I don't remember why. I don't remember the details of it, but she really encouraged us. And I felt particularly encouraged that she felt I had talent. And so I wrote a lot of poetry that year, and I won a little competition. There was the first Australian saint. I went to a Catholic school, and the first Australian saint had been whatever that word is. And I won a little competition for Mary MacKillop poem. And then I just didn't, once I went to high school, that was the next year was high school, I just stopped writing. I didn't write at all. I had a stint of writing when my marriage broke down about 15 years ago now. But that was spiritual writing. I self-published a couple of small books, but that was more like a personal practice of automatic writing. It certainly wasn't poetry. It wasn't like a literary practice. But when my son, I have 2 children, and when my son, the youngest, finished the HSC, that's like the last year of high school in Australia, for some reason I thought I was a little bit freer and I could take something back for myself. And I went to a little workshop that an organisation here called Westwords was running at the local library for NaNoWriMo, an event in November to promote the writing of novels. Not that I ever would have written a novel, but I met some women there who were in a local writing group. And I introduced myself and they invited me to join. And that was just my little start into taking it back. And so I started writing again. I started then in 24, I joined that organisation called Westwords. They have something called an academy, and they help emerging writers with the business of writing. And it was just wonderful to be part of a community, now part of 2 little communities. So it really encouraged me. And then I discovered Rattle that year in 24. in about March, I discovered you, and it just went on from there. I was submitting terrible poetry all over the place,
Mhm.
and I had an experience. I'll tell you really quickly. Um, I was at a workshop, an early workshop, and we were able to bring our poems, and there was quite a famous poet there, and she read one of my poems, and she read it out loud, and she said, "Well, it looks like a poem." So there were tears that night, but I really wanted to get better. And so I took it really seriously to start going through the materials that you were producing at Rattle. So the Rattlecast, the critique of the week, the poetry space. And that just made a huge difference very quickly because I'm a bit OCD. So I have a shower speaker. I was driving 2 hours a day, all day, in not while I was at work, but every opportunity I'd be listening.
Hmm.
I've listened to all the Rattlecasts, every critique of the week, every poetry space, some Rattlecasts more than once because I love Rena and David Kirby and Bob Hickok and so many. I've just learnt so much from everything you've produced.
Oh, well, that's really sweet to hear and affirming, to be honest, like that, that
Yes.
reaches and helps. That's what we always are hoping to do. But it's, sometimes depending on the reactions, the response is hard to know. But
Oh,
it's really, really great to hear. What do you think,
I see too.
mhm.
Sorry,
I
but I
know.
see too, like when I'm listening to the Rattlecasts, there's it's like the whole community is being lifted up
Hmm.
in its capacity and its craft
Oh,
because the quality of the poems are amazing. I've listened from the beginning, those years ago, the older ones, to now, and it's amazing how the impact you're having on poetry is
Well,
amazing.
that's really cool to hear, and especially because the reason I started the Rattlecast in the first place was because we had this reading series where it was the same sort of 30 people who'd show up at the bookstore every other Sunday, and they were getting better and better and better, but it was very limited to the group of people that were there, And I thought, well, maybe we should try to do it in a more public, everybody can find it way, and so it's just so cool to see evidence so blatantly that
Yeah.
it worked. I wanted to ask you because you said the early poems were terrible, which is your own word. So
Yeah.
is there any like one thing that was like a real click where it like something made sense and the poem started to come together? Was there one certain like lesson or thought or realization that helped?
One really big one that I saw over and over in the critique of the week, I started to recognize the oh, what is that word? It was just in my head when it's melodrama. Melodrama. I had so much melodrama
Mm.
in my work, I'd use words. There was a prompt Katie gave once to put in a title, a word you don't like seeing in poems, and my poem was called Blood, Heart, Soul. And you said to me, "Oh, you don't like those words," and I said, "Well, no, I've been using them sometimes all in one poem." So I started realizing things like that, or the use of adverbs, overuse of adverbs. Though it's really hard to say one thing, but I think it was my melodrama that was just a little bit too much. I
Hmm.
just got a little bit more light, slightly lighter touch,
Hmm.
and the form the form, learning that form existed really opened up so much for me. And then I studied further with Mark Tredinnick in his wonderful masterclass, really getting into form deeply because that I love that so
Hmm.
much.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
Mm.
that's just really cool to hear. Let's get into your book, Shelf Life, which,
Yeah.
as I say, is right here, and it's beautifully produced
Mm.
by Five Islands Press. And we already touched on one of the themes that comes up in the book, which is like identity and racism come up in several poems, and so many poems about family and divorce and that whole journey being a single mother. Um, and I don't know. I think we should jump in and read a poem next. I think the
Mhm.
first one from the book we were going to do is How Cross Scissors Cut.
Yeah, perfect. How cross scissors cut. My mother, though she's good at math, fears the number 4, a dread bestowed on her by Kim, her friend from Vietnam. Tetraphobia, leaping from the Asian world, roams lost through mum's born in Egypt brain, jostling for room amongst bloated superstitions of warding off a hex with an evil eye medallion, keeping shoes right side up to not offend the gods, and ensuring peace in families by storing scissors closed. How sadistic the spirits of the dead, always watching what we do, goading us to twist to their commands, then laughing at their game of Simon Says. Though they toss good fortune in for fun, you'll find some luck if a bird poops on your head. There's something weirdly comforting about a people sharing myth, cowering together against the gods, superstition morphing phobic and lurching through the streets, the homes, the barber shops, a whole country with its scissors closed, shoes lined up like loaves of bread, and crowds beneath great flocks of well-fed birds. But back to tetraphobia. Tetra, because we're friends. Wildly gesturing from my mum to move the party to a different date, place another peach into the bag of 4 at Coles, and the car you thought was such a find must be let go for its wretched number plate. Never mind my sister who called to say they'd finally found a house to buy, then stuttered over number 46. But Mum, 4 plus 6 is 10, which then is 1. So that's okay, correct? But no, numerology's a knave in the court of Tyrant 4. I did my part, removed a chair from the square table where we ate, set down 3 plates that first night without their dad while Tetra watched. He doesn't eat, just hovers there, counting in my head the numbers fate allows for all the times I left my scissors crossed.
Yeah, so that was How Crossed Scissors Cut by Hemat Malak from her new book, Shelf Life. So Washwords here says, where'd it go? You speak like your poems, Hemat. The pauses between words, so much emotion. I'm sorry for what you experienced that led to the first poem, too. But that is something that's so interesting about your, I sort of feel like we got a front row seat in developing the sort of you-ness of your voice, like it kept becoming more like you as you'd share poems over the years on the open lines and prompt lines later. Can you talk a little bit about that, about finding the voice that was uniquely your voice? It's a journey that all poets go through, but it's an interesting one to hear about.
I think integral to that is writing to the prompts, because I think having that focus where you don't have an agenda, you're writing for a project, allows you to be busy, and then I feel like memories and things that get locked inside sort of wait for a portal to come out through. And so she's writing a poem. It's like there's a chance for, hey, dad memory or one of the millions of divorce memories seem to be able to come out when you're focused on something else. It just helps you get in a zone, I suppose. I don't know. I feel like I was able to speak about more personal things because they just popped into the poems. And then it just became natural to speak in my voice.
Yeah. When you started out, did you know that you had these topics that you needed to write about? Or was it something that you discovered? Yeah. Can you say more about finding, what you needed to speak, which is what so much of it is about all the time?
Yeah. And it's been frustrating, really, because the divorce was in 2010. And there's still, even after this book, every time it'd be like, this is the last divorce poem. But it just keeps wanting to come out. And my poor ex-husband, he's a lovely person. I feel dreadful that this keeps coming out. But they're obviously still there. There's identity stuff, and there are memories I didn't even remember, like a memory at church, or I don't know what else has come up, just things you just don't even think about that are locked in there, that come out to be aired and be released.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, let's hear another poem from the book. The next one up is "The Last of Your Shadow," which touches on both the parenthood and neurodiversity, and also returning to poetry too. So a lot of stuff we've been talking about comes up here. Do you want to read that?
Yeah, I will, because my son is he has Asperger's. He's nearly 21, and so he so he's on the autism spectrum, and there were therapies, and he was selectively mute when he was younger, and so it's been a long process. He's at uni now, and doing engineering. He's a fantastic young man. Doesn't talk very much, but fantastic young man. Pardon me. The last of your shadow. My eyes have never left you, my little one. Even now, as I look up at the stranger who burst from your tiny frame, the memories of you loving me are etched forever, whether you like it or not. The sharp angles of your shoulders have banished me, but heaven was your little arms, tightly wound around my neck. That soaked up love still feeds me, damp hugs stuffed in my pockets for later. Some nights, when your father was home, I'd take one out to warm me. I wasted so many of your chattered words, letting them slip through chopped carrots and cut-off crusts. Now, an unprompted happy birthday melts me. I stand still to not let one letter fall. I love you. My words stretch with the car door as you open it and snap back as it slams shut. I watch you walk through the side mirror, waiting to love the last of your shadow. Its dark shape lengthens as you pass under an ash tree. I could swear it's your father's, walking into the wind.
Yeah, beautiful ending in that poem, "The Last of Your Shadow," from Shelf Life by Hemat Malak. And one of the things that's interesting about your poems is you really do care a lot about the shape and the way it looks on the page. And this one is one of the ones that sort of slide down and sort of move back and forth like that, and that shape. How much of that, I'm just curious what your writing process is like to get poems into that shape, which is something, you sort of, it's like each poem finds its own shape, but there's a lot of freedom and then a lot of, elasticity in the places you go with it. Yeah.
That's interesting you say that, because one of the things that really frustrated me, I remember saying to Mark Tredinnick in that masterclass, I feel like my poems look really naive on the page, because at that point everything was just left aligned, and I remember seeing poems that looked beautiful, but I didn't really know what they were doing. And then he showed me some beautiful poems, and then I started doing, I think David Kirby has, a little zigzag that he usually uses, and I got really stuck on that. I think the next one has that form. I got quite rigid with it. And I have a mentor, Ali Whitelock, who's a Scottish Australian poet. She's amazing. She pulled me up on it and said, Hemat, they really are looking very much the same. And so I read a little bit more, and she mentioned to me about the line. She spoke to me about the line, which Mark Tredinnick had spoken about too, but I'd forgotten. And I read more of Anne Sexton and Robert Lau. And I just over time, I'm a bit more intuitive with where the poem sort of wants to have its lines, and a bracket here or there, or I don't know. It's a bit more intuitive now rather than as rigid.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
And I wanted to ask this poem too about your poems are always feel very personal, and it's like your heart is on your sleeve as you write the poems, and I wonder how you feel about that. As far as making them public, once you write them, is there any
Oh, I
hesitation
tell you
about
what.
that, or yeah,
Yeah, Tim. I don't know. You feel like you're in a bubble when you're writing, and then in putting the book together, and the launch is this Saturday. It's like, oh wait, people are going to see this. My family is going to be at the launch, so I have to pick which ones I'll be reading. And I had a, I had a message a few days ago from my sister-in-law, my ex-husband's sister in Colombia, and she saw my Instagram post and said, "Oh, you've got a book. We'd love to read it. Where can we get it?" Really, rather you didn't. So I don't know. I can't, and I don't want to change what I've written. It's really it's true. It's my truth, and I feel like there'll be people who will connect with that. And I don't think I've been cruel. I don't think I've been cruel in the writing, and I've really focused on my own experience rather than representing someone else's. So yeah, it's a really big deal. I get it. It's a really big deal.
yeah.
Mm.
Um, well, let's hear another poem. Smoking Ceremony is next. It's another prompt poem, and it's the first poem you've had in
Mm.
Rattle. A
Yeah.
Villanelle as prompt poem of the month. I think maybe the second or third of the prompt poems of the month, and when we started doing it that way. Do you want to read Smoking Ceremony?
Yeah, I loved being able to write this. It was my first film now. Smoking ceremony. You call me arsonist, mad firefly. Our photos curl and crackle in the sink. Those years together burn, smoke thick with sighs. I watch the tendrils dance to cleanse the sky, which colours now in hues of rose and pink. Call me artist, my madness paints goodbye in letters on this canvas really nearly dry. Make no mistake, this is forever ink. The years are burned, the smoke has choked our sighs. The letters starburst into butterflies. And here's a toast to which we both can drink. From arson's match, we made 2 fireflies. These children smelted from our mouths and eyes. Our love left bubbles as we watched it sink. But years have burst into 1,000 sighs. There's comfort as the seasons prophesy, the vow of fall to bloom again in spring. No arsonist, that madness burnt me dry. This smoke of years in flames to bless our sighs.
Yeah, another beautiful poem. Beautiful sounds in that Smoking Ceremony. Um,
Thank you.
and that it's a very Australian based poem. Um, you know, how much do you feel like that is part of your identity as a poet? Is there a sort of a feeling that you should be getting, the perspective and views from Australia out to the broader world through poetry?
No, I'm just so self-absorbed. No, I think just at in the point of my journey now, or where I'm at, it was very much just learning my voice and getting out these experiences, getting them written out. And only very lately I've been looking a little bit further out. A lot of beautiful Australian poetry is very much focused on the land. The Mark Tredinnick, whose masterclass I attended, he just writes beautiful poetry. Judith Beveridge is another amazing Australian poet that has really touching poems of the land and creatures. David Brooks also. There are just so many beautiful poets that inspire me, but I'm just not, I haven't reached that very outward facing point of view or perspective yet. I probably will, but I don't know.
Yeah, well, it is one of those areas. Like we probably should do a tribute section to Australian poets because,
They're
I don't really
amazing.
know, myself the landscape as far as poetry goes all that well. We have subscribers there, we have poets who submit regularly and that I know, but I don't really know, like what it's like. I'm always fascinated by, how poetry operates in other countries. That's
Well,
one of
Fife
the, yeah.
Islands Press, the publisher, they're like 40 years old, and Mark Tredinnick and Steve Merrick, who run it now, their vision is to publish accessible poetry of craft. And so you'll find that the poets they're publishing are really fantastic. There are some fantastic names in their catalogue. So
Yeah, well, we'll
yes,
definitely
if
have to
I
check it out
would
and
be
think about that.
amazing.
Yeah, definitely. So this, like we said, was a prompt poem, and so many
Yeah.
poems in the book, like where especially Katie reading it was like reading through, like, oh, I remember this one. I
About
remember
half
this
of
one.
them. I was
Yeah,
counting. Yeah, about
yeah. I was
half.
going to ask if you know how many, like what percentage roughly,
Yeah,
and
I was trying to count 2 days ago. I think there are 66 poems, and I could count at least 33 that were
oh
prompt
wow.
poems.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so so obviously that's been a crucial part of putting a book together. What was it like for the other poems, that don't come from prompts? Did you find other prompts? It's sort of you've become the
No.
prompt, or is there another way that you approach those poems that are not using that? Because there is that like
Yeah.
distance that we talked about at the beginning that really helps
Yes.
not have to go in the way that your willful will wants you to go. And
Yeah.
so is it hard for you to find that space without a prompt? But I guess the answer is no.
No. Can I swear? Slightly swear?
Oh yeah,
Because I
definitely.
used to call I used to call my poetry pissed off poetry, because usually anything that annoys me or really impacts me will become a poem. So I just had a lot of material, Tim. So just no, there were lots of opportunities of moments of frustration as a single mum or an owner of animals or anything or a daughter that would find its way into a poem.
Yeah.
So no, I don't have a daily practice. I don't. I was much better when the Rattlecast was on the day I could attend. I was very diligent with the prompts and just nibbling at them every week. Now I either rush at the end of the month, or I even missed out completely this last month, which felt terrible, but there's just too much to do. Um, but I'm not someone who I know Bob Hickok was saying he he like writes for 2 hours every morning, doesn't he? He comes down at 7:30. But I don't do that. It's just when I'm inspired to get something down.
Yeah. And is there a certain kind of prompt that you find you like the best that Katie does, or
No, some are really annoying, but they always turn out as a poem. I think I've shared with her that some I really hated, but they always bring some gift out. No, I don't know. They're all even when she told us to go to that poem's in here, told us to go to Wikipedia, and I cheated. Like I selected something I preferred after the first few just to find a word. Anything, it doesn't really matter. Once you're busy on doing something, real things will come up.
yeah? I
Yeah.
mean that's
Even
definitely,
newspaper stories.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely the main sort of message. That's
Yeah.
the whole point of getting stuff out. Is stuff will happen, if you let it.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, let's hear another poem.
Okay.
Dog-eared airplanes is next.
Yeah, this one's a pantoum that I wrote in Mark's class. Dog-eared airplanes. There comes a time when stories get too old. You read their pages till they wear and dry. I think I lay for years in pages' folds, but now they're origami planes to fly. You read their pages till they wear and dry. I've stopped that practice, how I was consumed. I launch my origami planes to fly at pictures of your face around the room. I've stopped that practice, how I was consumed. I'd scowl and sneer and stick my finger up at pictures of your face that now make room. A canvas that I paint in buttercup. I scowl and sneer and then I give that up. That tale cannot return me to its fold. The painter's here. I've chosen buttercup. There comes a time when stories get too old.
That's great. I mean, it's a divorce poem, but also the humor comes in too, which is such a great element in this book. That if it was just the topics at hand, it'd be pretty heavy. And you use that sort of light touch with humor so often. As that great line, I launched my origami planes to fly at pictures of your face around the room. How much is that a conscious decision to bring in humor? Like, do you feel like, oh, this poem needs a little bit of lightness and levity, or is it more of your own voice just coming in naturally? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's why so many are so heavy. No, I don't. No, I don't. I don't do that. Sometimes I'm just writing a light poem, or yeah, I don't really. There's a lot of editing. Like when I'm writing a poem, I do. Who said they were doing that? I can't remember. Someone on the Rattlecast. Like I write a bit and I'm reading it over and over, mumbling it out loud, and I have beautiful journals which I don't use. I use my phone, because then it's always with me, and I'll highlight a word if it doesn't sound quite like the perfect word, and come back to it. And so there's just a lot of nibbling and like a lolly, you know, how I'm writing them, but I don't decide to put humor or a certain metaphor, or I don't really make decisions like that. I look for the best words.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, it is so disarming, So it's something that it's like a gift to the reader when you do that, and it's always a question of how much. It's something I think about all the time myself too. It's like how much should we be writing for as gifts for people versus gifts for ourselves. It's an interesting balance between the two, and when you bring in the humor, it's sort of like a generousness too.
But it could also be that you just laugh to yourself in your head.
Yeah,
because in the writing process, someone had asked me that, I'm not really thinking of who's going to read it. It's more in the editing process where you're asking questions like, is this clear enough? Or, where you're considering a reader. But I'm not really writing to a reader in the creation.
Yeah. Well, I should say at this point, if you're enjoying this conversation, make sure to click the like button. I haven't heard this many times, but there's always twice as many people watching live as have clicked like so far. And if you click like right now, more people will watch it later. That's just how computers work. So click the like button, make sure you're subscribed, tell your friends later. All that stuff is helpful. And if you have any questions for Hemat, do leave them in the chat window. I pay the most attention to YouTube. If you have any questions, helps put question all in caps, just that one word question, that I can find it quickly as I'm scrolling back through the comments. But if you have any questions for Hemat, and I'm sure you do after all these years, leave them in the chat window. And let's hear the next poem, Hemat, on cheese and children and destiny.
Okay. Well, do you mind if can I just read just before that one, should I get tested, just to give a little, because I love my children very much. I always have to say, because sometimes some of the poems look like there are complexities in single motherhood. It's like love and regret can exist together. So I'll just read this first one really quickly.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, go ahead.
Should I get tested? Is that all right?
Yep.
I think it's the one before or after
Immediately
on sheaves
after,
and
yeah.
children.
Yeah.
Okay. Should I get tested? If my children are 19 and 21, is it too late to be tested for postnatal depression? Does it leave markers like the fragments of a virus detected in your cells decades later? Inside my eyelids, maybe. Or would they test themselves from the corners of my mouth? Swear into this jar, she might say. And then the technician, whose name I won't remember, even though she'd just told me, would look up, silent for a moment, and I would know.
Mm.
All right, so I don't know if I have been depressed all this time, possibly. This next one is called On Cheese and Children and Destiny. When people asked how we'd met, I used to say through a piece of cheese. From the deli I stopped at on the way to a different life, and the girl who served my piece of pecorino with peppercorns knew someone who knew someone who knew someone I should never have known. I wonder if I'd eaten later that day, if I'd not found a parking space just outside the shop, if I'd not been in a chatty cheese's heaven state of mind. Would I still have met my daughter or son one day? Maybe in a queue at Coles, where I'd straighten their bread that was stuck on the stand of mints at the checkout, smile a motherly smile, and ponder as I put my bags of cat food, bath salts, and red wine in the boot, what it might be like if I'd had a daughter or son. And then I'd laugh to myself at such a ridiculous notion.
Yeah, there was two poems by him, On Cheese and Children and Destiny, and then before that, Should I Get Tested? And great examples of how much just intimate feeling and raw honesty appear in this book as well. Let's see. So one thing I didn't know until this week, Hemat, was that you work as an accountant, which is really interesting. And I wonder, is there anything that you take from that job or the proclivities that led you to that job and you apply to poetry? Is there some overlap in the skill sets that you can think of?
I think so. Yeah, I know it seems like such a strange thing not to come from literature, but you know, the patterns and I love puzzles, reconciling something. It's like music. It's like the rhythm of poetry. There are patterns, and I think it's those patterns that are similar, have a something that I feel are aligned with the I love a reconciliation, and I love nibbling on a poem and getting it to give its secret up. I think that's something similar.
Yeah, it is fascinating. I mean, I don't do much accounting, but unfortunately, I have to do certain tax things for Rattle, and so you have spreadsheets. And when you get down and you're like in the number and you push add in like the column add, there's like a click of a feeling it is so similar to the feeling of a poem having a good ending where you're like, oh yeah, there you go.
You got it.
Yeah, exactly.
I made a beautiful set of accounts. I reconciled. Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah. And I mean, it's sort of funny to talk about it like that, but also poems do have a sense of like completion and like that everything adds up in the end, and that there's no Chekhov's gun waiting in a cabinet. Everything. There's every word in a great poem needed to be there, like for the sound or for an image that you needed, and so there is a kind of like every column adding up at the end of a poem, which is a really interesting way to think about it.
Yeah, for sure, absolutely. I love that when you know the poem's finished, when it's found it's finished, what a feeling that is. Just
do you know with these poems like as you write them, do you know like where the ending is it that same feeling?
No,
or do you just have to hunt around for the ending sometimes?
No, it's a hunting. It's a shoveling. Yeah.
Well, that's interesting. Well, we got two poems left. Let's do Old Circus in the Mist.
Yeah, I live across from one of the oldest trestle truss bridge, and there's a gorge and a giant colony of flying foxes under the gorge. And this came from one foggy morning. The flying foxes flying in and out of the fog was made me think of another time. Old circus in the mist. The scene halts me as I walk down the hall. The blue and red glass border of the door framing the folds of Picton fog outside. The flying foxes slide in and out in slow half circles, a trapeze cross stage under frayed canvas, the air thick with incense. I'm certain I smell it, likely left by the gypsies in the night, conjuring times lost. Every time and all time at once, hang on the old timber bridge, inhaling the musk of horses, petticoats and pocket watches flapping and thudding against the trusses. The bat calls widen, pushing the pale gauze to billow with their breath, cold as damp leather and pungent with history. I shiver in the hallway and tie my robe tighter at the waist, Toby's tail curling round my legs. It's time for today, and he's hungry. The house is too cold for routine. This iced vellum cloak has fingered through the gaps round the windows and doors and latched itself inside. The train rumbles louder than yesterday. And now I'm here on the station in a starched cotton dress, tight at my waist, with a bustle, standing, because how on earth would I sit? What will lift this fog today, when so many yesterdays have concertinaed their calling cards over me? I'm buried in niceties and handkerchiefs and pistols, and my cat nudges me harder to come back.
Yeah, another beautiful poem. That was Old Circus in the Mist by Hemat Malak from Shelf Life, her new book. We have a bunch of, we'll do like sort of lightning round of quick questions from the audience. I wanted to talk about one more thing though before we do, because I thought, we mentioned it before, those two books that you published previously in prose were spiritual books. Your Angels Called and Left a Message, Divine Messages to Guide You to Happiness. And then another one sort of along the same vein. And I'm just curious how much, because I always love talking about this, as you probably realize, but how much poetry is a spiritual practice for you? Like, there is that sense of an angel leaving a message. And of course, I learned too that Malak means angel. And so that's really interesting too. I wonder how much that the two books actually, even though, it's poetry and it's prose and one's a spiritual on the bookshelf, and this is poetry on the bookshelf, but are they doing similar things? Is it a sort of a channeling of something in a similar way for you?
So I felt with automatic writing that was a different thing. But when I came to poetry, I felt like I wasn't really writing it. When I came to poetry, when you're in the zone, it's so similar, really. There's an automatic aspect to it. Of course, though, there's craft and there's revision, there's editing, and learning. It's different. It's not as untouched. But I don't know. I've had, when the marriage broke down, I went searching for answers. So I went on a spiritual quest. And I think the only thing that really stayed with me is that learning to step back. There's a poem near the end of the book, learning to step back as the observer rather than being stuck in the identity. So, that difference, people say that you're not a person with a spirit, you're a spirit with a person, with a body.
Yeah.
So I think it's more being able to come out of the person allows more to come through, more wisdom or more surprising things that you probably don't know that you know to come through.
Yeah,
That's
definitely really well said. And do you think that the automatic writing that you were doing for those earlier books helped that, like, help you access that more easily maybe in poetry, like help getting in that state? Yeah, like it seems like something that, it's a meditative practice in a way to let yourself be a conduit instead of, trying to be the lightning or whatever.
And I was meditating a lot at that time, every day. And so, I think it all becomes part of you. You just, everything you experience changes as becomes part of what you are now. So yeah, for sure, it's had an impact.
Yeah. Well, let's do some quicker questions, maybe, but maybe not. From Drya Monteiro, of course, Jared Campbell says, you mentioned poems that come from being pissed off. Is there a difference between the kinds of anger that do and don't lead to good poems, or is every anger equally likely to be poetic?
I think the angers that are personal would lead to good poems more than the anger that would lead to maybe a didactic poem, politics, or the government. Those things, when I've tried to write those poems, they're really didactic and they don't work. But when it's a personal anger, like the injustice of motherhood, or those things seem to work better for me as a poem.
Yeah. Great answer. And then another question, Joanna Pendleton wanted to know, she says, I'm wondering if Hemat is an artist or if she paints. There are references to colors in visual art, so I wonder. And do you do that?
No, I used to draw when I was younger, and I've always been scared of color. I buy canvases and paints, and I don't. I'm scared of color. But I've got a friend, Ormilla, who's an amazing poet and artist. She's incredible. No, I wish I did. No.
Yeah, and another quick one, maybe from Chelsea McClellan. She says, you mentioned Ali. How did your relationship with your mentor develop, and do you have any insights on mentorship in poetry?
Yeah, I was very lucky that year with Westwords in the Academy, which is a series of workshops. They match you with a mentor, and you get a couple of sessions with a mentor. And I was so lucky to be matched with Ali. So I got a couple of sessions, but I've continued with her as my mentor. What was the rest of Chelsea's question?
And if you had any advice just about the process of mentorship.
Oh, well, I don't know about the
or insights,
process,
I guess,
but
not advice. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's just so. It's you're not alone, and in a very detailed and personal way. Ali's just amazing because she fiercely supports me, not just in the poetry, just really as me. It's just amazing to have someone like that. But in the poetry, you know, she'll read through a poem, be really say some fantastic things, and then she'll say, here in stanza 2, what do you really mean to say? Or she pushes me without pushing me to make it the best it can be. Like, is that really the best? Is that really the best way you would put that line? Or she just doesn't. She doesn't. She doesn't let me leave it as good enough. She can tell when I'm getting away with something.
Well, that's really interesting because it's sort of the opposite, of what we try to do in Critique of the Week, where the benefit is having a sense of what strangers feel and get out of your poems, so you know like what's working and what doesn't, and what's coming across. But then with a mentor, it's like they know you very personally, and so you get that personal connection and sense of depth. And imagine being at some remove, because it's not like your partner or something. It's somebody who it's a professional relationship. So it does seem like like maybe it's like the best of both worlds to be able to do both, have a mentor
Exactly.
and also have an audience to give you some feedback too.
Exactly. It really helps when someone like my daughter or sister will read a poem, because I can see straight away when something doesn't make any sense. But to have someone skilled in the craft and able to know what you're trying to say, um, really helps, rather than the general, reaction. It's
Yeah.
really fantastic. Very
Yeah.
important to me.
We'll do one more question. Laura Berg wanted to know. She said a question about the music of identity. I love that phrase. The music of identity. Wondering if any connection to Arabic language songs, lullabies, or poems, music of English in a uniquely Australian way, or entirely personal language.
No, I'm not musical. I wrote a poem recently. Anyway, that's a long story. Doesn't matter, where I sing in it, which is so embarrassing because I can't sing. But it was a racism poem, and I have anyway. One day you'll read it. No, I love the sound in poems. It's music to me, the rhythm. That's the music. I don't speak Arabic well enough or know any Arabic poetry at all to say that there's an influence. I love things like, I keep remembering Hafiz, a Persian poet, something he wrote, it's been translated, but ever since happiness heard your name, it's been running through the streets trying to find you.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Yeah.
Just what is that? Yeah, so and I've got the prophet here, Khalil Gibran. Um, I love that. I love that poetry, but I don't know enough in true Arabic. I don't know enough to say.
Well, we're going to close out with one last poem, which is the title poem, Shelf Life. And before we do, I remember, sharing this poem with Alan, because how Rattle works, if anybody doesn't know, is we sort of pick poems, Katie and me and Megan, and then we have editorial meetings with Alan, and he's sort of like, we're curious how he's going to react. He's like this like blank slate. And I remember handing him your poem. He has no idea who Hemat is, or doesn't watch the Rattlecast at all. And then he just reads it and says, "Wow!" And he gets a little teary. He's like, "That's a poem." And he was like, we're gonna nominate that for a Pushcart Prize. And so he said it right there, and he wrote it on top of the poem. So I had no choice. Like 9 months later. So this is a beautiful poem. We loved it. I believe this was a prompt poem too, right? If I remember right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was to reference Small Talk in a Big Way in March 25. It was a prompt poem.
Yeah, yeah. So what was the journey like to make this the title poem of the book? How did you know that this was going to be, it's a cool title, but how did you know that it could encompass the whole book?
I really love that concept. I originally wanted, well, it's gone through a couple of different options. I wanted the book to be called From These Empty Shelves. But I'm glad we've all agreed now to make it Shelf Life. I'm very happy with that decision. Because I feel it has so many things that I experience, or that the writing comes from, like when there's nothing left, what comes out, or what you hide at the back of shelves, and women left on shelves, what you store for later. It just has so many things that I feel are messages that my poems are touching on, topics they're touching on. So I felt this was the title poem. But I thought it was going to be the last line, and it's the title.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, why don't you go ahead and read it, Shelf Life?
I will. And I'll just say thank you so much, Tim, you and Katie and the whole community. It's just been, Rattle's been such a huge part of my journey so far in poetry, and it's just really meaningful for me to be here today. Thank you.
Well, we're so happy to have you too. I mean, you've been such a great member of the community, and just loved getting this book in the mail and getting to read it and seeing the fruits of all you've been working on. It's really been great.
Thank you. Shelf life. Nice dress, he breathed. A little too humid for first words to a stranger. A little too close for his scent to not breach her lungs. Without moving, her eyes scanned for exits from the car park, silent in its underground hold on her neck. Something happens when tomorrow rips to its last few threads. Her back arched, pushing out her chest. Her right hand rose to her hip, leading with her chin. Do you think blue suits me? In her best bar lilt. He looked through blue, to her skin, to the silver lines on her curves, to the way her thighs were tensed. He must have seen the quiver of the down on her arms. But there is no man, no car park. She's wearing jeans and a brown t-shirt, the child seat digging into her hip as she straps in her 2-year-old daughter, howling, in her mother's driveway, after orange almond cake, and aloe for the heat rash, and advice on how to stay with her husband. Everything will be okay, honey. Hope she sleeps tonight. But her daughter doesn't sleep that night because she doesn't have a daughter. She never wanted children, and she never believed he could leave her and their unblemished, languid life of reading together in the evenings, memoir for her, war history for him, and walking their pug on the beach in the mornings, and trying new recipes to jazz on Sundays. Yet here she is, looking at the empty shelves on his side of the wardrobe. But there is no wardrobe, no husband, no recipes. Just a woman staring at the pantry, wondering what to make today from these empty shelves.
Yeah, such a beautiful, powerful turn in that poem, and so much imagination and so much emotion. Great example of what you do with your work, Hemat, and so glad to get to experience it. Thanks for writing that poem, and for writing this book, and for being a part of the community. Thanks for being here.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah, so that was Hemat Malak. Everybody knows Hemat, but you can find more and find Hemat's book at hematmalak.com. That's HEMATMALAK.com. So find Hemat's book, find Shelf Life there, and say hi anytime you can. To follow Hemat on social media and all that stuff. She's very friendly as well. All right. So we're going to take a quick break and go to our invited prompt lines. I forgot to say, too, this is the week that we reveal our prompt poet of the month as well. And so we're going to let you know who that is. That'll be the poem of the day tomorrow. We'll also have your poems. The prompt for this week was to write a contemporary epic poem. There's your prompt to write a contemporary epic poem. If you got a submission, join the Zoom right now, and we'll be right back with a whole lot more poetry. And we're back. Thanks so much for your patience. I've got our poems editor, creative editor, and my wife, Katie Dozier, here beside me. Hey, Katie, how you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm feeling a little emotional after that. That felt like, a reunion of the Rattlecast community, even more than the Rattlecast normally does somehow. It's really sweet.
It was. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was.
For sure.
And the fun continues because we have the winning prompt poem of the month.
We do, and it's a familiar face.
It is.
It is. And here he is, none other than Matt Joseph. Hey, Matt, how you doing?
Hey, guys. How's it going?
Doing good. Yeah, and thanks for rushing back to be with us from your day job. That's a rather important day job also.
That was great. No, it made it more than enough time. So I was just sharing offline with Hemat that last poem she read that at the very first prompt lines I ever attended in March. That was the very first one I was ever at. So It's an amazing bookend. So I mean, I actually remember it very clearly. So yeah, no, it was really special. That was wonderful to hear about what I didn't get at the beginning, but what I heard, I just loved hearing her journey with this. That's really inspiring. So
yeah, it is definitely to me too, and him. It definitely inspires me to write better as well, and also to feel better about when I randomly write another divorce poem. So thanks for that, Hemat, too. I'll say, Hemat said this is okay. You never expected it, but sometimes they come out of left field. But you do not have that kind of poem for us. You have this wonderful poem that you did share with us last month called Hey Brother.
Yep. Great. Shall I just jump in?
Just jump in and then I'll praise it, believe it or not.
Okay, great. Okay, so this was from the prompt where we were to find a line from one of the Rattle Poetry Prize finalists, and I think several people actually picked this poem by Lisa Wells, The Accounting, and I loved the whole poem. There was a line towards the end talking about sort of describing I think it was a paddle kind of moving through the air, describing her and I think a sibling as we were only the holes, which is really powerful to me. So, all right, so this is Hey Brother. My stepbrother and I, when it came to the wormy wooden plank of our fused family, we were only the holes, measured by our absence, told what we weren't, weighed in a burlap sack with all we lacked and failed to do, which makes our childhood sound like a chapter in a minor Dickens novel. But it was a lit Roman candle shoved sideways into a neighbor's mailbox, a cheerful fart at a funeral, a $20 bill tucked inside a dog turd. After all, every other weekend belonged to us, as we laid quarters from our $1.50 allowance on the tracks behind our tract house, waiting for the 5.15 to flatten them into talismans, cooler than any coin. Mostly because it would piss our parents off so badly. The way our phone calls now, 50 years later, are talismans, pounded between the steel rail of my stepmother and the indifferent wheels of my father. Our stories, incantations only the two of us know by heart, a bridge forged from a million flattened quarters, our bond, a gift from the goat rodeo. Enough to forgive what was done to us, even if we're still happy to wrap our long-distance chats up in a bow that makes us laugh each time. Hey, brother, fuck those guys.
Well, Matt, I think there's just so much to love about this poem. First of all, I think that, like you were talking about with Hemat during the interview, watching your voice really come alive. And I think you have this strong gift for allowing yourself to follow the lead and really go. And like your poems feel so like you can feel the flow state in them and how much you're allowing yourself to truly explore. Like no one thinks that you knew what you're going to say when you started writing this poem. And that makes it so exciting to read. And then also a poem that has the word fart in it that is still heartfelt and sweet. Like, how many people can say they've written a poem like that? I certainly can't, and I think it's a really impressive range that you managed in the poem.
Thank you very much. It means a lot. No, it was fun. It was fun to write, and it comes from a real place. My stepbrother, who I consider my brother. We came from kind of like all of us do to some degree or another, came from kind of a messed up family. But it's an incredible gift, the connection that I have with him, and it's something I'm grateful for to this day. And it can kind of come off as some of these things can seem maudlin, but we really turn everything into sort of just gallows humor and kind of debase ourselves with sort of our sense of humor with one another, and it's a gift that we have, and it's a way of being resilient. So yeah, and just to echo what's been said multiple times, I really what a gift to have this forum to work on our craft and share with one another. And so yeah, this was a lot of fun.
Oh, thanks so much, Matt. And I also think it's a really great just model for how to handle an after poem, which is something I've been thinking a lot about lately. Because I think that there's this kind of concern almost when you're inspired by another poem that you can't just start with the direct inspiration and then leap where it actually affects you. And that's what actually makes after poems interesting. Like, if it's the same poem, it's not an after poem. It's plagiarism, right? And so this was a really exciting direct approach that also, to me, it just makes me realize, like, hey, I can take, when I have a strong response to a poem, I could, kind of take that sort of model, which I guess would make it after you and after the poem. So we're going to have a lot of notations, I guess, on the...
Go for it. Do the after poem. Let's go for
right,
that.
It's going to be big.
Yeah. Sounds great. Great.
Well,
great.
Thanks so much, Matt, and congratulations. And this will be the poem of the day tomorrow.
It will. Yep. All set up. Thanks so much, Matt. Yeah. And I was going to say, there's a great metaphor in that poem,
I know.
too,
I
it's
know.
like with all the funness, the humor, and the heart, you almost forget that there's really cool metaphors going on.
It's really wonderful. So I hope your brother enjoys it too. So
you will. Thank you, guys.
Thank
Bye.
you, Matt. Bye.
Bye.
Yeah, that was Matt Joseph, who is this month's prompt poem of the month with Hey Brother. That'll be the poem of the day tomorrow on Rattle.com. Of course, to get that poem in your inbox, you sign up right now if you don't already. At the bottom of any page, just type your email address in. Make sure to hit confirm there, and then you'll get that poem too. All right. Now we're going to share our poems, Katie, except I don't have one, but you have one.
I have one. I do. Okay. Based on a true story.
It is. I can confirm.
It's based on a true story. Okay, you were there, and I think you were surprised that I was this scared.
A little bit. I
was really scared. I was surprised.
Anyway. Yeah, well, you're a tough cookie,
Apparently, I met my match. Okay. Pecking order. Yanking the latch to the side, I was met by Boss Chicken's one eye, which didn't so much as squint at the suddenly spotlit giant or the Texas sun flooding the nest where she sat brooding. Boss Chicken's beak shone like a bullhook. With one look, I knew she'd broken braver souls before me. But her eggs, the cracked promise of omelets on our last morning at the rental. Even from out in the weeds, with a million bugs picnicking on my knees, I could almost smell the butter browning. I spied a little blue peeking out from the fire of her feathers. I drew my hand like a pistol. But Boss Chicken cocked her head. I bet she knew I had no bullets. I inched my white fingernails closer. Boss Chicken curved her beak towards me, her shiny needle poised for embroidery. Boss Chicken won again. But just then, one of my kids rallied a battle cry. They grew spears for eyes. This time I slid my hand right in, smooth as a snake, and palmed that big blue egg, pulling it through the hay as if I was stealing the sky. And Boss Chicken's beak and her talons and her one black eye stayed right where they'd always been. My apron was full of her eggs. Butter strutted into the pan. My yolks gathered around the table, gleaming knives in hand.
Yeah, and those were some great eggs.
They were great. It's hard to go back to the old Costco eggs after those.
It is, yeah.
Especially that turkey egg on the last day.
I know. Yeah, that size of that yolk.
Oh, so good, guys. Okay.
It was, yeah. It was really, really great. Great time. That was our vacation.
I want to own chickens. Sorry.
It was a chicken coop.
I'm putting that into the universe. I want to own chickens.
Okay, well, someday.
One day.
They'll let us around here, maybe. but we'll see. Anyway, yeah, so I wrote 2 stanzas of a short epic poem, but I had 8 minutes. I needed 10. So maybe tomorrow on my Facebook, if anyone wants to follow me on Facebook, maybe I'll post my poem there.
Find your 2 minutes.
I find my 2 minutes, maybe.
Okay. All right.
I didn't quite. I was racing as Hemat was coming up. But let's see what everybody else has for us this week. And let's go first to none other than Brian O'Sullivan.
Hello.
Hello, Brian.
Hey, Brian. Great to see you.
Great to
Brian.
see you. I feel like I should have something to say about the community reading, but I can only say that it's awesome.
Yeah, well then I will say, because Dick is not with us for this part of the show, but it will be the last Sunday of this month, and it will be with none other than Lexi Pell, noted poet extraordinaire. And yes, that's my announcement from Dick Westheimer. You're welcome. But Brian, I've got to say, like, I went back and forth on this invite because I don't want people to think that I picked your poem because it has my name in it. But I thought it was amusing without it being me, and it wasn't a vain pick because I thought it was funny. And what better way to kick this off than with an evocation of some kind of a muse, even though I don't pretend to be a muse.
Thank you. I was kind of afraid I was shooting myself in the foot by putting you in it, but thank you for thinking of it. Okay. On the divine strictures of an epic prompt. O Muse, on the Parnassian heights, sing the terrible torments that fierce Katie, the Fury's daughter, with blazing torch and scorpion flail, shall righteously rain down upon those reckless rattlers who, like bleeding sheep, straying from a shepherd's blissful path into the maws of mighty lions. Hail to invoke you, to start in media res, to extend the metaphor, to drop a shit ton of epic epithets and similes and inventories, and to write at least 1,000 words or 1,000 lines. But hold, I don't really want to do all of that. Fair Muse, sing the benevolent mercy of wise Katie, who shall let us make the epic mode our own.
Well,
I should give a shout out to Nancy Tennell because that originated as a response to a question that she asked on the Rattle group about how much leeway we had or how strict we had to be about epic conventions.
oh, right. Yeah, I saw that. And I have to say, that was just great, Brian, I have to say, I think one of the questions we answered on the poetry space was like, if you ever just like know someone's poem, and I definitely would have known this was yours, I think, but also too, sometimes I do find myself daydreaming about prompts and like what a specific community member is going to end up with. And I knew this would be one where you would have something that would make me laugh, to be honest. And you did deliver, but you also submitted another poem, and we're not going to look at the whole thing, but I thought that the ending was so, well, it's standalone, as you guys will see, and so cool that I thought we should share it too.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah, so
Pieces of an ending, sailing on, pieces of an ending sailing on, pieces of an ending.
I think that's so cool, Brian. And I was thinking about like all the many ways in which you could take that, because my new thing is like, why have two worlds in one breath when you can have 75? And so I was thinking too, the pieces like a ship breaking apart too. And I think it was a really cool idea to make it a circle coup. Do we have a term for this?
It's a circu, CKU, CIRCKU. And I have to give a shout out there too to Kat Lehman Blunt. Last month I did one of these because I had a poem that kind of suggested going in a circle. Mm-hmm. And she said, hey, you should do this. And I know that she's done that before as well. And when I figured out how to do that on Word, I just kind of want to write everything in a circle now. So you'll probably get sick of them. I'll probably be doing it for the next few prompts.
Yeah, I have to say, I think it's so cool that Kat is posting in our Rattlecast prompts group. Like, I'm almost like, I decided to like step back from like being super involved in people editing their poems, because I think like I felt like people want a little bit of editorial space, but I'm kind of tempted to just post it and be like, so just wrote this Hyben, wink wink, see who comments, because the feedback I know is excellent, and it's just I loved seeing some of the interactions too of people just trying to explore like what the heck is an epic poem, which was really largely the point too. So I think it's impressive that you managed both of these very different pieces.
Very
I think we could say
poems. Yeah, that's a great haiku.
Yeah,
too,
it really is,
yeah.
isn't it? Yeah, I really like it. Yeah, it could be
Thanks
if
so
you ever
much,
get a haiku tattoo, just putting it out there. You could go with that one, unless you wanted the meatball in the freezer haiku by Brian.
Have to go with that,
yeah. All right, thanks, Brian.
It's great to be here tonight because that was like the best interview. Thank you so much for sharing that with us.
Yeah. Oh, thanks, Brian.
Thanks, Brian.
Yeah, it was Brian
Okay.
O'Sullivan with two. We had that really cool circle coup. Is that what we called it? Circle coup or something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hopefully, cat's like shuddering.
Yeah.
She's like,
That is really cool. And then he also
Circle.
had on the divine strictures of an epic prompt. So very fun. Thanks, Brian. Okay, let's go next to Olivia Dizavala.
Hi, can you hear me?
I can. Great to see you, Olivia. Yeah, thanks for being here.
Hi. Yeah, Olivia De Zavala. Thank you for having me here, Tim and Katie. I'm really excited that what I wrote got your attention. This is great. This is fun.
this was super creative and really interesting, and I'm excited to hear you read it.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited. So I'm going to pull it up on my own screen just to read personally, but I know that you'll have it in the background as well.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So this is called The Epic of the Unwritten, and it's an ekphrastic epic response to a epic poem that was published in 2024 called Aztec Raspides, Flower and Song of the Mexican Conquest. Sing, if you can, of the empire that was. Though the pages are gone, burned to a clean white hush. Escribes left only margins, and in the margins, only dust. The hero's name was, no, that part is missing. The glyph that held his face crumbled under a conquistador's boot, and the wind carried the pieces to a place no archive can reach. What remains is the aftermath, a shield half buried in volcanic soil, a feather that once crowned a warrior, now dulled to the color of forgetting, and a single line from a broken song. In Xochitl, in Cuital, flower and song, the only survivors. The rest is silence, a silence so vast it becomes the epic itself. A silence that swallowed temples, languages, mothers' names, the stories fathers meant to pass down but never could. I inherit that silence. It arrives in my mouth like a lost kingdom, asking to be rebuilt from ash and rumor. I try to speak, but the words fracture, half Tex-Mex, half Spanglish, all longing. So let this be the epic, not the conquest, not the hero, not the fall or the triumph, but the ache of what was taken, the echo of what refuses to die. Let the poem end where the codex ends, with absence, with the unwritten, with the quiet, stubborn truth that even erased stories continue to burn in the dark. Thank you.
Well, Olivia, that was such a wonderful reading, and I have to say that's one of those images that really sticks with you at the end of the poem and keeps going long from after you finished reading it. And I really thought that was such a cool idea to do an ekphrastic poem too as part of this, because there are roots of epics being so ekphrastic in nature, and so it was really creative and it felt very well researched too.
Yes, it was. So as mentioned in the poem, I am Tex-Mex, I am Spanglish, I am second generation. So I do not speak Nahuatl. And those were the words that I was using in that poem from the Aztec origins of my ethnicity, right? I speak Tex-Mex. Those words would have been translated as flores y cantos, flowers and songs, right?
Right.
But Xochitl y Cuital is the Nahuatl language of the Aztec part of me. And I did have to research that because unfortunately, some people on the other side of whatever might be upset about this, but I am born in America. And so I do have, you know what I mean, obviously a strong American nationalism behind my accent, behind my language, behind my whatever. So to be honest, I do have to do some research into my history quite often. And you know what? It's beautiful. I love it. I learn a lot.
Well, that's great.
Very
Always
cool,
great
yeah.
when we can learn something too. Thanks for joining us, Olivia. Nice to meet you.
Thank you
on
for
the
having
screen.
me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank
thanks
you
so much,
so
Olivia.
much.
Yeah, that was Olivia Desvala with Epic of the Unwritten, an ekphrastic epic response to Aztec Rhapsodies. Very cool poem. All right, now let's go to Rick Pongratz next.
Hello.
Hey,
Hey,
Rick.
Rick.
How's it going? It's good to
Yeah,
be back.
see ya.
Yeah, nice
good
to
to be
see
here.
you.
Thank you for having me on, and it's such a delight to have heard Hemat's poems. I love them every night or every week on the Rattlecast, so it's super exciting to be here again. Thank you. So I was thinking about family epics and the epics that we go through in family life, and so that's where this one's coming from. So, Tomatoes, after George and Ira Gershwin. You'd think a lot could ride on that second syllable. Like maybe if we can agree on that, we'd be able to sort the rest out. Neither of us had an affair. We don't drink too much Tito's or play too much Xbox. We both vote against the fascists. Hell, we still finish each other's sentences. But we're in the kitchen and we're chopping vegetables for the stew, and we both realize that even when we're careful, the juice, the life of what's before us can just run out. And when we both speak the last word, you say "de" while I say "duh," and I say "duh" while you say "de," and the only thing we agree on is divorce.
Well, Rick, I thought it really made me think about more deeply too, what is an epic? And, there are so many divorce poems. I've written more than my fair share of them, as I've already referenced earlier. And there's this way in which what an epic is and the subject around it, I think maybe it's fair to say, has evolved into what are the big events of most people in modern life, and so I thought that this was really interesting to think about, like, oh, is this a contemporary epic? And the entry point was really a beautiful one too. And I also liked the way you had the stanza break, the one stanza break. I thought was really effective visually for the poem's content too.
Thank you so much. I was thinking epically painful, and so that's kind of where I am for contemporary epics. So,
Yeah,
that's great. Yeah, it's fascinating to think about what a contemporary epic would be.
Yeah, and it was, and I should say too, there were so many creative takes on it. Which reading the submissions this morning, it was like really like I had no idea what I was going to get when I opened the next one. So thanks, Rick. It was really nice to see you again too. It's been a little bit.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Yeah. It was Rick Pongratz with Tomatoes. Next, let's go to Christiana Doucette.
Speaking of different takes.
Oh.
Hello.
Hi, Christiana. How are you?
Doing all right. I was really excited to be able to read this one for you all. I shared this one in the prompt lines a little bit, the prompt line group a little bit earlier. And I've always loved the Odyssey. My family was big into audiobooks when I was growing up, and we listened to like all of Dickens. We listened to Beowulf. I still remember listening to the audiobook of the Odyssey back when I was a kid. And we've done the same thing with my kids. And I have all these memories around this particular story. Like one time, my middle daughter, we'd gone to a water park, and she stood over top of one of those little fountains coming up, and she was like, "I am Poseidon, I stand upon the fountains of the deep." We just
great.
like reference things in this story all the time.
That does sound like your daughter. I would have imagining from afar. Yes, I believe that story. Okay.
Yes. So I'm excited to read this. I feel like I was trying to figure out whether to come at this prompt from telling a new epic or taking a contemporary take on an old epic, and obviously the one we went with here was a contemporary take on a new epic. So this is the Odyssey in Cliff Notes haiku. I do have I know most haiku don't have names, but I just put like a little piece with each one to give context. So,
Audiobooks are available wherever audiobooks are sold.
hold on. My kids are going to bed, and the audiobook just went, speaking of audiobooks, it just went really loud in the background.
That's funny.
I was trying to get my tablet open and it turned out.
Okay. Let's try this again. Troy. Victory. Straight from the horse's mouth. Troy. Victory. Straight from the horse's mouth. Calypso. Eclipsed. A fading ring fakes twilight. Eclipsed. A fading ring fakes twilight. Odysseus 1. Finally shipping his wife. Finally shipping his wife. Lottophagy. Falling asleep in lotus position. Tranquil liars. Falling asleep in lotus position. Tranquil liars. Telemachus. Home thrown away. Home thrown away. Antinous. Strung along after the throne. Confidence man. Strung along after the throne. Confidence man. Penelope 1. Picking out the unsuitable. Tapestry. Picking out the unsuitable tapestry. Polyphemus. No one keeps an eye out for you. No one keeps an eye out for you. Escaping the Cyclops. Blindfold bluff. The cleverest hide. Blindfold bluff. The cleverest hide. Helios. Holy cow. Life and death stakes. Holy cow. Life and death stakes. Zeus. Rare Ithacan barbecue. Zeus. Rare Ithacan barbecue. Aeolus. Escaping the windbag, chance blown. Escaping the windbag, chance blown. Aeaea. Hog wild feasting stymied. Hog wild feasting stymied. Circe. Charm offensive, which sees stars. Charm offensive, which sees stars. Hades. Taking stories to the grave, good grief. Taking stories to the grave, good grief. Tiresias. Ghost of a chance, taking the bait. Ghost of a chance, taking the bait. Sirens. Allure, singing swan songs. Allure singing swan songs. Odysseus 2. Wax on, wax off, mastery. Wax on, wax off, mastery. Charybdis. Raging sea, a cauldron full of teeth. Raging sea, a cauldron full of teeth. Scylla. Neck on the line, face danger head to head. Neck on the line, face danger head to head. Argos. An old dog masters new tricks. An old dog masters new tricks. Ithaca. 12 axes to grind, a row bum rushed. 12 axes to grind, a row bum rushed. Penelope 2. Getting to the root. Well-framed questions bolster the bed. Getting to the root. Well-framed questions bolster the bed.
Mm-hmm. Well, Christiana, that was just so creative. And I have to say, I had a secret hope I would be given a haiku sequence for this prompt because I thought like, oh, what would the craziest thing or the way to interpret it? So I thought it was really neat. And I love how so many of them were funny. You know, no one keeps an eye out for you. It's like I laughed when I read that one. So thanks. It was really,
I was
really cool.
cracking myself up writing these. I was sitting there like giggling to myself as I wrote them down.
Always a good sign.
I like wordplay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, definitely. Yeah. Thanks so much, Christiana.
Thank
Originator of the Doucette roulette. We
There
should
you
also
go.
say no surprise there. Thank you.
Yeah. So it's Christiana Doucette with the Odyssey in Cliff Note Haiku. Okay. And next, let's go to Brian Hickey. Hey, Brian. It's great to see you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very
Hi.
much.
Yeah. It's definitely a familiar name. Have you been on before? I don't think so.
What happened was you invited me 2 weeks ago,
Mm-hmm.
and I knew it this, so it was I didn't realize I had to click in. I was waiting for it, and I didn't realize I had to jump in, but I got it figured out now.
Well, it's
Gotcha.
worth the wait for us, for sure.
Definitely
So we're
is,
glad to
yeah.
have you on.
Yeah. Thanks for being here, Brian.
I'll get right into the poem.
Great.
The Quality of Mercy. It's more of a internal odyssey. The Quality of Mercy. The same week my father left my mother for the inevitable younger woman, I won third place in the high school elocution competition for reciting the quality of mercy. So it's impossible not to link the two forever in my mind. Watching my mother suffer, she stopped dyeing her hair and wearing red lipstick, made it painless for me to justify estranging my father. I refused his phone calls, returned his posted birthday presents, and sent back his unanswered letters. The best revenge is knowingly not pardoning a person you could or should, who you feel doesn't yet deserve your forgiveness. Odd how all these years of not seeing my father, I have the quality of mercy memorized, though I'm struggling to learn it by heart.
Well, Brian.
Every epic is a struggle.
Yes.
That's true.
And I really enjoyed too what you put in your note where you said the modern day Odyssey seems to me to be more an internal journey than an external voyage. I thought that was really well said and was something that I came to believe as I was reading the submissions and thinking a lot more about epic poetry today. I think epic poems very much still exist. They take a new form. So, and this was a really interesting look, not at forgiveness, of which there are many, many poems, but the choice not to forgive, which I thought was interesting.
And the differentiation between saying something and really acting on it.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, very cool. Thanks so much. for
Thanks,
sharing that,
Brian. Great to have you on.
Very well. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Yeah, that was Brian Hickey with The Quality of Mercy. And next, let's go to Ted Bernal Guevara. Hey, Ted. How you doing?
Hi, Ted.
Let's see.
Think maybe he wants you to read.
Hi.
Hi, Ted.
Yeah, thanks for picking me this week.
Yeah, definitely. My pleasure. Do you want to read the poem or did you want me to read it?
No, it's better for you to read it.
Okay.
Okay, great.
Well, it's great to get to see you, though. It's so nice. Yeah.
Thank you. I'll give you a little background.
Great.
Okay.
Okay. The last part of the poem is true. I worked at Home Depot for 15 years in the garden. And that's it. Yeah.
Well, very cool. Okay, well, I'll read it for you then,
Yeah,
Ted.
nice to learn more about you too, Ted.
Definitely. It's been a while. You've been on before, but it's been a bit, so it's great to see you, Ted.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. So this is Ted Bernal Guevara with Garden Associate Explains Momentary. Okay, I'll do like this. Garden Associate explains momentary. There's an old saying, you're overlooking your wins, as if your losses are keeping you locked in a tailspin. And the flashes blind you. At the moment, it's epic. But you can't narrate yourself out of it. Too many routes to pick, and their far views all second-guess the ocean. Creatures out there, they're all unthinkable. They must have magic to entertain the bright-eyed Greek, the gatherers around the campfire caught by the longhand poet. They are not the moviegoers of the day. They are the predecessors of such. They can be locked in a tailspin, yes, by a clumsy cyclops devouring their very interest. The glow of fire on their faces bursts even more when they are told of a 5-headed incubus who, again, likes to eat the intellectual mind. This is our win. We have many since the dawn of fable. And since we've seen the Technicolor version, what we're really drawn to is possibility. It's so favored that we assign a period to it, and the idea flourishes in time, never to be overlooked. It's like the manager who tells you that the crepe myrtles are wilting, and you tell her that you've been off for 3 days and can't possibly water the beautiful for a moment flower from your kitchen.
Yeah. Ted, I love the ending of this poem because I got so lost in the amazing cerebral aspects of it that I forgot what you told us right from the beginning at the title, that we were, in a lawn care garden situation. And then you brought us back to and this is why I was thinking about it. It almost feels like an inverted poem in that way. And I really liked that turn back. In addition to the idea of possibility being so favored that we assign a period to it. I love that. That's really going to stick with me the next time I see the word possibility period for sure.
Yeah, there's a few great lines that just leap out in that poem.
Really
it's really cool.
I enjoyed it a lot. Thanks, Ted.
Thanks, Ted.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was Ted Bernal Guevara with Garden Associate Explains Momentary. Next, let's go to Paul Moorhead.
Hi.
Hi,
hey,
Paul.
It's great to see you.
All right. Thanks for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
Yeah, definitely. And you're a first-time caller too, right?
I am, yeah.
Yeah, and where are you calling from?
Newfoundland on the east coast of Canada.
Oh,
Cool.
very cool. We had someone from Nova Scotia.
Oh, yeah, this is going to add to the setting of this poem in particular, I think. Now,
Nice.
Maybe. All right. Well, I'll get to it because your email told me not to introduce my poem, so I'm not gonna. All right. Sidewalk Odyssey. Our mailbox is not so far up the hill until it is endless steps away because the pavement is uneven and your steps want experience. Because every pebble is a jewel and every stick is a sword and they all want your attention. I quest, but you are a brown-eyed Indian wanderer. When did I forget how to meander? The sun as a cyclops will roast and devour you, so keep your hat on. Take my hand. We are at a crossroads, are in such peril as our little epic provides. Don't dawdle for once. These petrol chimera care little for your inexactitude. On the other side is where our journey meets its sage advisor, a sea of gray men, once an ocean of soft yellow suns. You grasp a near one by his neck, yank him free of his concrete great roots. Inhale, exhale, parachutes all over. Me, I'd wish for more dandelions.
Yeah, I love that ending.
Yeah, I love the ending too, and I love the idea that we can choose to see our everyday mundane life as an odyssey. Like we could just see that. We could look and see sticks, like they're swords, and just I love poems that make me excited to experience life, and imagine it as being more grand than sometimes it is. And so I found this to be an inspiring, fun poem, and also great because I think sometimes people are like, well, I don't have anything to write about. Well, go outside if possible, and maybe you'll find something. Allow the world to enter you, and I think you did a great job of that in this poem.
Thanks very much.
Thanks for coming on.
Thanks so much, Paul. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That was Paul Moorhead with Sidewalk Odyssey. And let's see, last but certainly not least, never least, is Mary Lisa D. Diminishes.
Mute. Hello.
Hi, Mary Lisa.
Yeah, it was great to see you, Mary Lisa.
Hi.
Hi.
Oh, it's so good to see everybody. I'm a little shocked. I did not expect my poem to get chosen. I really didn't. Okay, here I go. It's an appeal to the musical muses, and then the muses respond. All right. I don't believe in hauntings or ghosts, so don't get me wrong. I know it's not that. But as I drive in pink dust past some houses, a pain seeps out onto the porches. Not one smell or vision or sound to astound me, but a sense nonetheless, deep in my gut where it swims, and I could drown in this. It creeps up into my lungs, takes root, then vines to sit stiff between my ears. Maybe the air is stuffed full of sound. Our ears don't have the capacity to hear, and our brains haven't learned to interpret. I could suffocate. Oh, Euterpe, Terpsichore, Polyhymnia, Calliope, Saraswati, Benzaiten, Hathor, Merit, and the rest. I invoke, no, I implore you, transcend me. You older than the trees, you ageless, whose songs are touch and stroke, paint me a bright color, untie my mind, its tangled strings balled like a fist in my throat, a million chaotic notes and rhythms, explode them and strum me, I beseech you, undo them so they're free to roam where they can wander into someone else's realm, to be returned to the world perfected and sung. Or for when silence bashes our heads in, help us sing what things feel like inside us, poking, swelling, dissolving. Soften humanity's jagged edges. Turn our meaning into sound so we can turn our sound into meaning, our meaning into an absence or a rhythm of tears, whichever might cleanse us. Enter all the crevices of our bodies, unfist our tongues, which will not speak or kiss or sing in this position. Musical muses, high priestesses of song, my religion, my church, on a spotlit amplified stage in a stadium filled with 1 million people, or one single acoustic voice beaming through an empty field, sing us a perfect G, harmonize our discordance. The gods ignore us. Let our dissonance ripple into jazz or a smooth background mumble of sleep. I'm afraid we've run out of options. Play us a song we won't ignore. I beg you, intervene divinely. Bring us consolation, collective effervescence. Gift us peace. The muses respond. We haven't disappeared. We haven, we reverie. 300,000 years we've been inside you as journey. We've not abandoned you, and we aren't only made up stories. Some of us are true and like the gods whose names keep changing. We always were and will forever be as we exist today, purely to fulfill and serve your need to survive what in the world might try to kill you. Death lives everywhere, was, always will forever be a force. We know not why it comes, but is, and is yours to contend with before the greatest God of all appears, swipes you off your orbiting earth with the side of his palm and adds you to the random piles of his collection. Such a hoarder he is. Until that time arrives, we hold the power innate to console you in your pain and anguish. In our hands, madness calms, and in our arms, even the most chaotic chords can soothe your earthly traumas as we harmonize and braid what seems to be empty air that carries our arrangements, so that from our hands and into the measurable waves your bodies swim in, we toss song, invisible and free, as not one of you chose who came before you, who bore you, where you would arrive, or the era in which you'd enter into your lives, which battle, which plague, which accident, what harm, what disarray. But watch, as in your world, host of more than 7,000 languages, as 100 wars in just one day murder thousands, we disarm and unify, bring less than tomorrow, but more than yesterday, 82 sextillion melodies arranged so that an infinite number of combinations of song continue on, thrive, and expand. Listen, we're still here, where sound snuggles down inside your ear before you know you've been entered. You can't prevent it. And your ear is always the first organ to fully flesh out in the womb. It's then we seed you with song and vibration your body can't ignore. You're draped. Watch as people wrap themselves in music to unwrap themselves. They ribbon through the city streets and fields and coasts to gather, share enormous space, enough to hold 1 million people singing one same song, and sometimes even screaming, because in the arms of the muses, even screams set to tune can soothe. Listen, too, as you sing your hearts out, how we've tuned your words and feelings into kisses or fingers that skim your skin and make you quiver, a bit out of your heads as you exit your bodies and enter into our majestic realm. If you so choose to carry us along, you're never alone, filled with your own or someone else's song.
Well, Mary Lisa, that was a wonderful reading. And I have to say, I really love the concept of appealing to the muses and then having the muses respond. And then also, I was really taken with this concept of collective effervescence. I thought that was amazing. Could you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. So, like, I know that you and Tim even have gone to some concerts together. And there's this overwhelming, almost religious feeling that comes over when everyone is united and they're all singing. Like, it's just amazing. So over the last week or two, I've been seeing, whenever I go on Facebook, besides Rattle, poetry, I've been seeing all these videos of concerts that have been going on, and like thousands of people, and it's just amazing. And I've been to over 100 concerts in my life. Like that was my thing besides poetry. So yeah, I don't know. I somehow wanted to make this contemporary, and I thought I was going to fail at the prompt, and then I realized I need to think about something I really loved, and I thought about the music and the muses. So, and I actually wrote the second part of the prompt before the first part.
Oh, interesting. So, that's really cool.
And I did a lot, like some research, on the muses and on music and all of that. And I couldn't remember the word, so I had to look it up. I knew there was a word for that, the collective effervescence, when we all feel that.
Yeah, and I love that you bring that up, too, because it was like, I don't know what concert it was when Tim and I first went to a concert, but I had the feeling like, I almost don't care what's on stage. I love this feeling so much. So we've started we are lucky to live near a pretty great concert venue, and so I almost don't even care what's on stage if it's like the collective joy and experience is so beautiful. Yeah,
so beautiful. I agree. I think for a long time music has been my church, and that's a way that I commune. Totally get it. So I sang to the muses. That was my plea, and collectively as a world, maybe if we all just could sing one song.
I totally agree. Yep. Thanks so much for joining us and for writing this.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate the chance to share that. Wow.
Well, it was Mary Lisa D. Diminishes with Appeal to the Musical Muses and The Muses Respond. All right, that's going to wrap up the show for today. Let's go next to our haiku.
Oh yeah, my haiku is a little embarrassing to read. I think so. I wrote this after, I think this is kind of somewhat influenced by complimenting Matt Joseph's humor in his poem.
Okay, well here we go. And your haiku is this:
What a beautiful skunk butt.
What a beautiful skunk butt. And that's, of course, inspired by, I believe, the skunk we saw yesterday.
Yes. That is not presumptuous, sir. We did see a skunk in our yard yesterday.
We did a little like baby skunk.
I know, it was so
hiding
cute.
from the rain.
And then we were talking about how skunks are so beautiful.
They actually, yeah. But
yeah.
there is a risk. We don't have dogs.
I did like it though too when I emailed you this and you replied LOL. And I knew it was a winner.
What a beautiful skunk butt. That's totally true. Yeah.
I'm gonna win a big prize for this one.
You definitely are. All right, and then now we did go to that ranch, an Airbnb thing, and we got the chickens, and also hiked around.
That sounds like we acquired chickens.
No, but they were chickens there, and we got eggs every morning.
Yeah,
it was really cool. And here is my haiku. August afternoon, the cold plunge of air conditioning. There you go. And, I meant to say, so that the person we rented from is Dr. Bobby, who's very into the heat and the cold, and so he had in the Airbnb thing a sauna and a cold plunge, and I got enough of that just walking in the house. But Katie loved the cold plunge.
Yeah, I'm gonna convert our bathtub, put a lot of ice in it.
Just go to the ice, get the icy from the Target or whatever, and dump it in the bathtub. Anyway, that was a little too much for me, but I enjoyed it though. It was an interesting experience.
You tried it.
I tried it. All right, well that is the show for this week. Now next week's prompt is going to be what, Katie Dozier?
So this is of course influenced very much by Hemat, and it is write a poem about something you've kept on a shelf for far too long.
Oh, that's really interesting. Okay. I can already imagine some things I might go places
That's
with.
exciting. I'm looking forward to the variety.
All right, well, that's your prompt for next week. Write a poem about something you've kept on a shelf for far too long. That's the prompt. And the guest next week is going to be...
This is awkward.
Katie Dozier. Yeah, Katie's been in Rattle twice before she became an editor at Rattle. When Poets Respond and issue number, what was that, 72 or something, 80?
I don't know. It was a good one, though.
It was a good issue. You should check it out. And she has a book, so why not have Katie on to talk about her new book, Residency Review, and talk about her background in poetry. I thought it'd be a really fun episode, getting to know Katie a little better.
A little bit of a serious episode, probably, given the book.
We should say that. It's a serious book, too.
It's a little serious. It's not going to be quite as peppy, probably, as normal, but it's going to be, Hemat's was great, and it wasn't like a funny episode, I would say, even though it was one of my favorites. So hopefully.
Yeah, well, it's going to be a great episode. I'm really looking forward to it. And it is a powerful and profound book that you wrote about your experience last summer. That is Residency Review, and that's going to be guest, Katie Dozier, Rattlecast 354. The regular time, Monday, August 17th, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. I hope to see you there. Hope you have a great week in the meantime, and we'll talk to you later.
Good night.